Aloha and welcome to This Is Now. We want to begin with some breaking news today. Maui County has filed suit against Hawaiian Electric.
Yeah, the county is blaming the utility for causing the Lahaina wildfire and failing to take appropriate actions to maintain the grid. Now, this is the latest lawsuit against Heco. Some residents are also suing the company. Now, the county's lawsuit claims Hawaiian Electric acted negligently by failing to power down electrical equipment despite a National Weather Service warning about the wildfire risk. The suit also alleges Heco's energized power lines ignited dry grasses when poles fell, causing the fires. Now, the fire in Lahaina has left at least 115 people dead and destroyed more than 2,200 structures. The damage estimate exceeds $5.5 billion. Now, a separate wildfire in Kula also destroyed more than 24 structures. HNN, of course, is reaching out to Hawaiian Electric for comment, but they've previously declined to speak on any of the lawsuits that they're facing.
Now, we also know that the fires have renewed the discussion over the rights for water there on Maui. And a short time ago, Native Hawaiian leaders just wrapped up a press conference at the state capitol calling for the reinstatement of Kaleo Manuel. Now, he was relieved as first deputy in charge of the State Water Commission following after a Maui landowner complained, Manuel withheld permission to recharge some West Maui reservoirs to fight the Lahaina wildfire. Here's some of what they said at that press conference.
At the time when we were the most unified because of this fire, it put a division in our community. Looking at some of us as being the reason why we lost our homes because the water was in the streams. And so we got to reset the narrative. We got to reset the governor and what he is saying. That's not what happened.
We call upon Governor Green and Chair Chang to do what is right, what is pono. Reinstate Kaleo Manuel. To date, I've seen a lot of finger pointing, but in this time of crisis, we don't need finger pointing. We need pono leadership. We don't need fall guys. We need healing and justice for our community and waters.
Now, the land department has not explained their decision to remove Manuel from the post. Our Daryl Huff was there at that news conference, and he's following that story, and we'll have more details coming up on later editions of Hawaii News Now. For now, let's go ahead and give you the latest details on the overall efforts on the ground there on Maui. At least 92% of the disaster area has been searched. The confirmed death toll remains at 115 people, as the number of confirmed missing stands at 1,054, according to Maui County. And 6 more victims have been positively identified. They were named as 66-year-old Tau Ponali, 78-year-old Valerie Kaufman, 77-year-old Salvador Coloma, 54-year-old Carlo Tobias, 62-year-old Albert Kitaguchi, and 74-year-old Lynn Moneybog. All were residents of Lahaina. Meanwhile, loved ones of those missing are still urged to get DNA samples to aid the identification process. However, Maui County has also issued a warning that someone is working a scam pretending to be from DNA Services. The only DNA services offered are at the Ka'anapali Hyatt, and only if you go there and affirmatively say you're willing. Do not give out any personal information or payments over the phone. They're not calling anyone. If the scammers call you, you're asked to call the Maui Police Department on their non-emergency number.
Right now, first responders continue to look for human remains near the Lahaina Small Boat Harbor and along the Front Street Breakwater. They're searching a 4-mile area from Puamana Beach Park to Wahikuli Wayside Park. A team of 40 personnel from the Maui Fire Department and Ocean Safety are using jet skis and snorkeling gear.
I have no doubt this is going to be a multi-day operation. Even with a crew this size, it's just a lot of space. So we're planning on being out here for at least a few days, and it really depends upon how quickly we can move, how many items we find, water clarity. There's all kinds of things that can affect the total duration.
Crews were also out in the water last weekend. That may have sparked rumors of tourists snorkeling in the area despite the disaster. How do you prevent a natural disaster from becoming an economic disaster? Casey Lund is in Ka'anapali with new details on that difficult discussion.
Aloha from Ka'anapali. This is an interesting place to stand. Just about 10 minutes west of Lahaina. These are the communities that are grappling with those questions. When do we let people back in? A lot of these businesses today, some of them opened, many of them have decided to close their doors. I want to talk a little bit about that meeting that happened yesterday afternoon in Ma'alaya at the Maui Ocean Center. Industry leaders from the hotel industry, restaurants, even dive companies and smaller businesses got together to begin those discussions. They had a pule, they took a long moment of silence and then got into it. We first heard from the general manager of the Maui Ocean Center.
Kanapali, Napili, Kapalua. We should really do everything in our power to try to reopen that area. There's a lot of money in that area, providing it's safe. I understand we have water, we have electricity. I've been involved in discussions with Starlink, getting network there. I saw FEMA trailers going out with generators last week. This is too big of an area to close out until October 17th.
Another important speaker to hear from was Mayor Bisson. He was not able to attend, but Mahina Martin, the county spokesperson, expressed his sentiments about reopening.
The mayor has consistently said that Maui is open for business. We ask, just as you just heard, that people be respectful of what's going on in Lahaina town and that there is a impact zone.
But we wanted to talk to the real people that were affected. Here in Ka'anapali, while we were doing our live report for Sunrise, we bumped into a couple of men who lost everything, their homes and, for one, their business. A boat captain, Tim Putnam, whose boat was destroyed in the fire. I asked him how he feels about the discussions that are happening.
Being sensitive to everything that's happening, but still being able to survive. I have lots of friends in other parts of the island that need to get back to work. When's that going to happen?
Tim's friend, Patrick Grady, lost his home in the fire. You may remember we talked to him the very first day. His boat was not destroyed. He can still go to work. I asked him how he feels. Take a listen.
I work for the Pride of Maui, and it's on the other side of the island, and the boat's intact, and we're just waiting for tourism to come back. Right now, there's not enough people to run the business, so I'm laid off on top of everything else that's happened in my life.
That October 17th date is the day the governor says non-essential travel can return to the communities west of Lahaina. Some say it's too early, others say it's too late. Everyone agrees it's not going to be an easy decision to make. Reporting in Ka'anapali, I'm Casey Lund for now. We'll send things back to you.
Maui officials are addressing eyewitness reports that there were roads blocked as the firestorm descended on Lahaina. People say traffic backed up as they tried to escape. Many had to flee their cars. Some even took refuge in the ocean, but others did not make it out. The police chief discussed the issue in the most recent press conference, while the mayor spoke about it in a social media post yesterday.
We did not close or forbid people from getting out of Lahaina. If there is a down power line, we don't want that was live. We want to make sure that you didn't go over a down live power line. Police officers that night, that day, that afternoon, they were driving up and down on their PAs, pleading with people to get out. They were knocking on doors. They were doing everything they can. They knocked down a fence on Lahaina Luna to get people out because they needed to get out.
The police were trying their very best to evacuate our citizens in the safest exit that they could have at that moment. Now, this was a very fluid, very dynamic situation. Some of the roads were blocked by falling electric poles, and they were live wires, so they tried to avoid those areas. Other places were blocked by parked vehicles, and so the police did go to door, according to the chief, to notify people, as well as on their speakers to let people know what was happening. But I think the important part to know is they did try to send people to the safest exit at that moment, and that changed in some of these situations.
Now, power lines remain down throughout Lahaina. They're not live anymore, but Hawaiian Electric crews are aiming to restore power to the area. They think they'll have the power back on for most customers in the Launiupoko, Olowalu, and upcountry areas as soon as this weekend.
Today marks 5 years since another blaze broke out under very similar circumstances. Now, that fire, which was fanned by winds from a passing hurricane, prompted warnings about a possible future event. But clearly, not much was done. On August 24th, 2018, a fire sparked in the grassy hills above Lahaina in Ka'ua'ula Valley. Winds from Hurricane Lane fueled the flames, eventually destroying 21 homes. The Washington Post reports that it was the most destructive wildfire in Hawaii state history until now. That incident and the similarities to this disaster have many questioning officials and the media when certain phrases are used, like unprecedented or nobody saw this coming.
Well, a group of businesses are providing some much-needed technological support as more cell phones and laptops start working again in West Maui. Keahi Tucker has more.
The north side of Lahaina, with its boats, coastal highway, and big black rocks along the shoreline, looks much as it has for decades. But here at Hanako'o Beach Park, also known as Canoe Beach, is another one of those many signs that this town is forever changed. Because in this parking lot, you'll find people sitting in their cars making phone calls to get their lives back on track.
Been really important to have it.
Retired investment banker Don Kellum is among those desperately in need of a good Wi-Fi signal.
There's so much work to do to get the insurance started and the lawsuits set up.
He's been spending his days in this parking lot using the Starlink satellite on top of this truck, with wires dangling out the back for anyone who needs a free charge. And how's the signal?
It's awesome. Yeah, it's a
generators and more than 50 of these Starlink internet terminals, Mahipono, and the startup company Privateer, run by Alex Fielding.
Plug in, charge, the Wi-Fi is open, no password, and the trucks are running as generators.
This is one of his 8 trucks stationed around Lahaina.
When you don't have power and you don't even have a way to tell your family and your loved ones you're okay, I think that's a critical lifeline.
A lifeline not only for residents, but first responders, government agencies, the media are all relying on these signals, even the crews racing to restore power. Today, these linemen, who told us they've been working 16-hour days, reconnected hundreds more customers in Olowalu and Launiupoko.
This is kind of my home away from home.
Back at Hanakau'o, longtime paddler Susie Richter says she lost several canoes in the fire and is now staying in a hotel.
I've been on the phone with the bank. I've been on the phone with my credit cards. I'm still trying to download the whole Venmo thing.
She's also using the Wi-Fi to catch up on the president's visit on Monday. She'd rather not see too much.
The more I see, the more I'm going to grieve. So there's so many things to do now that are just important to try to move forward.
Moving forward like canoe paddlers. This tiny parking lot, an example of the community uniting.
We've been working with Maui Police Department of Communications and the county and also our friends in government. And just as a group of local, people banding together, kind of trying to do the right thing.
In the end, a story filled with symbolism. The pali, mauka of this ancient town, and the modern communication tool keeping this modern town connected. At Canoe Beach, I'm Keahi Tucker, Hawaii News Now.
Another crucial service that many West Maui residents are relying on is healthcare. Arlene Kawano shows us the efforts of one local clinic.
The Minute Medical Urgent Care in Lahaina is still open. They don't have electricity, so they can't run all of their equipment like the x-ray machine. But they want people to know they can still do COVID tests, flu tests, basic wound care. They have enough supplies. They can also provide an IV for someone who's dehydrated. They just want people to remember they're here. Even if you don't have your insurance card, you don't have insurance, they want to help.
There are so many people that don't want to leave the West Side, and we have come to understand that us being here as a clinic that's familiar with familiar faces, familiar doctors, nurse practitioner Rachel Graham, Dr. David Dean, they're still coming, they're still here, and our patients know and love them. And we just want to be here every day with open arms, ready to take care of them for anything they need.
They are open 7 days a week from 10 to 2 or 10 to 4, depending on the day. At the Lahaina Gateway Center, I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Let's go ahead and give you a live look outside sunny Honolulu. It's about 84 degrees right now. No major weather makers in our near future. Calm winds, calm showers, aside from your usual windward and Mauka spots. For more on this, let's hand things over to our Guy Hoggy.
How's it on this Thursday? It remains very quiet here in the Central Pacific. No cyclonic activity, no potential cyclones as well. So that's good. And we are seeing a few more windward and Mauka showers this morning, but still overall, the rain is spotty and it's very dry for most areas, including leeward sides especially. And those winds will run at surplus levels today. They'll start to ease up over the weekend, but we'll still have a trade wind breeze over the weekend as well. So the overall weather pattern is not going to change in any significant way. So today we start out a little damp only for those windward sides. Lots of sunshine, drier conditions for everybody by the lunchtime hours. And then in the afternoon with those breezy winds and the abundant sunshine, temperatures running to about 90 degrees, but at least humidity levels won't be all that high. Surf's not all that high as well. That Hillary swell is pretty much out of here. Still got some leftovers on the east side and no significant swells coming in to any shore anytime soon. So over the next few days, the weather's not going to change in any significant way. However, we are expecting the winds to come down to moderate levels over the weekend into the early part of next week. Again, rainfall will be limited to just a few windward and Mauka showers, although we might get a few more showers over the weekend, signed hopeful.
Thank you so much, Guy, for that forecast. In news around the nation, a shooting has killed 3 people and injured 6 others at a biker bar in California Wednesday night. According to the Orange County Sheriff's Department, deputies killed the suspect, a former law enforcement officer, within 2 minutes of arriving at the scene. The suspect is identified as retired Ventura police officer John Snowling. The shooting happened at a bar and restaurant called Cook's Corner in Trabuco Canyon. Police believe it possibly started from a domestic dispute between 2 partners. Of the 6 wounded, 2 suffered critical injuries. In political news, the leading candidates for president from the Republican Party took the stage in a heated debate last night on national television. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
A day after meeting on stage, GOP presidential hopefuls are trying to build on their momentum following debate night Wednesday.
We've got real issues that need real solutions.
There's a lot of people up there that said a lot of things. I'm the only one that's actually delivered on all these issues.
I'm going to stand up and tell the truth about where our country needs to go and about how Donald Trump has failed us.
The 8 candidates on stage sparred over several issues.
Is climate change real? Yes, it is.
The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax.
Most of the attacks were aimed at 38-year-old entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, whose views highlighted divisions within the Republican Party.
People that know me well know that I'm a fighter.
I don't fault them for their frustrations. There is a newcomer that threatened, that's surpassed them significantly, and they weren't expecting that.
Notably absent Wednesday night, former President Donald Trump, who declined to debate.
The interest level is really high even without Trump.
Aaron Call, director of debate at the University of Michigan, spoke to us from Milwaukee.
No one totally separated themselves, and I'm not sure it'll impact the race in a big way in relation to the absent frontrunner Trump.
Where do the campaigns go from here?
Debates can often serve as a springboard to positive momentums, their own media cycles, the raising of money, which keeps campaigns viable.
Call points out the news cycle on this day following the debate will be dominated by Trump surrendering on charges in Georgia of conspiring to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
A nonprofit farm in Windward, Oahu is providing food to many in need. As our Jonathan Masaki shows us, they're part of the larger mission of the Hawaii Food Bank.
Based in the Heia Ahapua'a, the Kako'o'iwi's mission is to cultivate kalo or taro for poi and taro leaves, which may be used for an array of native Hawaiian delicacies.
Eating healthy and particularly our native foods, I think is it's like this important building block and piece for health and well-being and establishing connection to Aina.
Mahiai Dochin is the value-added manager, and at this nonprofit farm, it's his job to ensure the crops are grown in the traditional ways of the Kanaka Maoli.
To remember to malama that kind of pilino or relationship, And in the same way, Heali'i Ka'aina, He Kaua, Ke Kanaka, to remember that there is a particular role that we have in relation to the Aina.
There is a lot of work that goes into all that the employees and volunteers do here, and since the fruit of their labor provides nourishment to the people of Hawaii, it's very important to them.
Knowing that the efforts that we put into this farming, to this work, and into the food that we grow gets to sort of permeate throughout our community and help to feed people of this place. Makes me feel really good.
Kako'oiwi is one of the major suppliers of Native Hawaiian produce and products to the Hawaii Food Bank. Jonathan Kaniakoa Kukea Schultz is the farm's executive director.
So with the food bank we provide, and they've been really flexible with us as a small farm, but taro, luau leaf or taro leaf, cooked and steamed, cooked kalo that's been cut up, they call it kalo pa'a, and then of course poi.
The work here is not easy. The hours are long and cultivating these crops are physically demanding. But despite the demands, there is definitely a sense of pride here at Kako'oiwi. What are you most proud of with this relationship and what you folks do?
Most proud with the food bank is knowing that the food that we grow is going to people in Hawaii. It's feeding our community.
It's this relationship that the Hawaii Food Bank has with Kako'oiwi that'll take it into the future to Mālama the Aina and to Mālama the people and provide healthy food for all. Jonathan Masaki, Hawaii News Now.
And this Saturday is the annual Food Bank Food Drive. You can drop off your food donations and your monetary donations at several drop-off sites around the island. Hawaii News Now's teams will be there. You can find us at Pearl City Shopping Center, Town Center of Mililani, at the Waterfront Plaza. That's the main kind of hub that they're going to be accepting donations. Windward City Shopping Center and Wai'okeola Congregational Church. We hope to see you there on Saturday.
Yeah, it's always a great time. The energy is super high, and we know Steve is going to be there in Mililani. Guy, I think he's going to be in Kaka'ako area. What other areas have you been to?
I've only been to Waterfront.
Oh,
yes,
nice.
because it's in town. It's close to home.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be?
I have yet to figure that out. Possibly Mililani. We'll see if I can make it out there in time. But this, again, is this year's drive comes with very special purpose to help the people of Maui. We know the Hawaii Food Bank here on Oahu is partnering with Maui to take care of those on Maui. There's still such a need for food, water, the non-perishables. So if you are able to swing by, again, let's show you that full screen one more time. 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Those are the 5 locations right there. So come out and meet the H&N team as well as the team from the Hawaii Food Bank and all the amazing work that they are doing there.
Yes. And I love when people come with their like canned goods in their trunks or like they'll drop money in the fish nets, or the companies will bring their huge trucks with like pallets.
Yeah.
We'll take everything.
It's a great sight to see for sure. We are also tracking another big story today nationally. Of course, former President Trump is expected to surrender to authorities today. This is a live look outside of Fulton County Jail. Now, this is all happening following the charges stemming from his attempts to overturn the 2020 election results. We also know that 19 of his other allies accused in this alleged crime have also turned themselves in. So we are keeping a close eye on this, and we'll bring you any details in terms of this story on your H&N digital platforms and later editions of Hawaii News Now.
Aloha.